Mike, while you're working on this bike over here, we got some new parts that just came in. Might be good for this. That's my lunch. I'm running from Sasquatch, man.
Dude, Sasquatch gets what Sasquatch gets.
Let's go check it out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Huzzah! So we actually have 3 different cam plate oil pump systems laid out right here. This is the OEM factory oil pump and cam plate. Obviously, it's a stamped aluminum piece. The oil pump rests against here, your cam goes in here. The cam rides inside the parent material of the cam plate, and so does the crankshaft. There's various little ports and ways to keep everything lubricated. Very silver. Here's the oil pump itself. Now this is from an air-cooled Milwaukee 8. With the backing plate, you can see the grooves where the oil comes through. And here are the feed gears and the passages. Now this oil pump is what we have dubbed the revision 3.5. There's actually 4 different revisions of the oil pump, but this one did not receive a part number change in the books. They just did a rolling change to the part number, and they changed the location of the relief valve for the oil pressure relief. The oil pressure relief still comes on at 32, 35 pounds, somewhere around there, just like the twin cams did. As you can see, versus the twin cam, with the oil cooled, the feed gears are rather large. With the water cooled, because they don't have to move as much oil, the feed gears are smaller, which is an easy way to tell them apart. And then on the Scavenge side, here's your Scavenge gears. This is your feed hole. This is one of the things that they've improved on the 3rd revision of the oil pump. They actually made the inlet on the Scavenge side smaller, most likely to keep velocity high when the gear is spinning and creating a vacuum. That way you can create more of a vacuum and pull through a smaller channel so that you get a higher velocity flow. Next up we have the Feuling oil pump. And the Feuling oil pump and cam plate, obviously the plate is a much sturdier billet aluminum plate, much more solid construction and precise in its engineering. Again, on the Feuling cam plate, the camshaft and the crankshaft both ride in the parent material. The oil pump is designed quite a bit like the OEM. Most of the improvements are in the gears themselves. So if you look at this pump and the gears, you can see how much more stout they are, and they are also a larger diameter, which gives you increased amount of surface area, so you have an increased amount of oiling going through there. They've altered the ports just a little bit. This port design is actually fairly similar to the very first Harley design. However, they had an entire channel where they've gone back to a single port, a single hole for the relief, and again a small inlet on the Scavenge side to help increase velocity. And I believe this comes with a standard relief spring, right? 32, 35 pounds. You can get heavier springs to go inside the oil relief to increase the relief pressure if you want, but usually it's not that necessary.
But Feuling was the first to emerge on the market as an aftermarket replacement. S&S now has come out with this plate, second on the market. Actually, this is only, I think, the 2nd or 3rd unit in the country that's been made available, and S&S was kind enough to...
I may have seen Bigfoot.
Oh yeah?
He's on. Continue.
Get him.
Continue.
Anyway, this S&S was kind enough to give us one of the very first couple of copies off the mill to come to us to be evaluated and to go on Moses' build. We're really happy to have it. We can see some definite improvements in this system, which Mike will elaborate more on First of which visually you can see here, as opposed to riding in the aluminum, they've got bushings, nice brass bushings in this for the pump and the cam to ride in. Just a much better design. It makes it a bit more robust. It lasts longer. It's a harder material.
One of the big differences, well, there's several differences between the S&S oil pump and the others. One of them is, we'll take the Feuling apart. Now you can see, well, these gears are going to be on a blooper reel, I can feel it. So you can see if you look down inside the pumps how deep the channels are that the oil passages ride in. These are all on the feed sides. Then when you look at the S&S pump, you can see how shallow the channels are. So what they've done with the S&S pump is they have increased the passage in the gear itself. So it forces the oil to stay inside the gear and be pushed through the system rather than hang out in the back of the channel and whatever is overflowing then go into the gear and be pushed through the system. There's really nowhere for the oil to go but through the pump. This little apparatus right here that I know you've been wondering what this is since we started the video, that's probably what everyone keyed in on. What is this? It has an adjustable relief valve that you can adjust with the cam plate installed. The cam plate would ride somewhere like this, so you can pop the cover off, and if you need a little bit more or a little bit less oil pressure, you can adjust it right there. That's
having to remove the whole cam plate
without having to remove everything and pull a spring out and then pop it back in and redo the entire thing. If you ever see Sasquatch in the wild, don't mess with Sasquatch or his beef jerky. Although it is believed that Sasquatch are mainly a benign species in harmony with nature, we truly don't understand their origins or their intent. And there has been, though rare, documented footage that messing with Sasquatch has grave consequences. The pump also rides on this steel plate, which sits against the back of the cam plate. So the gears of the pump never actually contact the plate itself, which protects the plate. And this is also a replaceable piece. If there's any debris inside the oil system floating around, it'll be picked up by the magnetic screens and held inside the pump. Now you can pull these out and clean them if you need to, which with these motors you really will never need to clean any debris out of there. The only reason
catastrophic. Yeah.
Which
We won't see.
We won't see difference other than the actual flow design is in the scavenge side of the S&S. There are actually two sets of gears for the scavenging. There's one gear to scavenge from the engine case compartment, and then there is a metal plate, which all of these parts are rebuildable and replaceable. So if the oil pump itself is still in good shape, you can get a new separator plate if something passes through there and mars it or whatever. You can get new gears, you can get new screens. And then there's the second scavenge gear for the cam compartment. So you're scavenging out of both compartments at the same time, simultaneously, versus one gear pulling from both areas. And we had somebody getting us retail numbers. The S&S setup, cam plate and oil pump, is also, I believe, over $100 cheaper than the Feuling setup retail.
And it was delivered with the tensioner block-off plate. For the Feuling, you're paying separately for the cam block-off plate, the tensioner block-off plate.
So if you're going to run a gear drive
If you're going to run
cam,
a gear drive cam, you've got to run the block-off plate, or else you'll be wasting all your oil pressure going to nothing.
one of the caveats with running these high-performance plates is your crankshaft runout tolerances are a little bit tighter. Feuling recommends 3/1000 or less, and but they will withstand up to 4,500 crankshaft run out. The S&S will handle up to 5 because of the brass bushings and because of the design, the robust design. It'll handle up to 5,000s run out. And the crankshaft run out, I haven't really seen much of an issue with that in Milwaukee, like we did in some of the twin cams. I mean, we've been, more often than not, we're able to install gear drive cams with the Milwaukee 8s. I mean, they have less than 5,000 run out pretty routinely, which is nice. I haven't been able to measure Moses's yet, but we just did another 117 stroker, and that one measured out 3.5. So it's a really high quality engine, and it's pretty exciting to be at the level that we're just figuring stuff out. Hey, so you know what I forgot when we were demonstrating with the oil pumps laid out? That all the oil pumps have a scavenge port for the cam chest and the crankshaft side. It's not just the S&S that scavenges from both ports. I think that's important, and we want to mention that so that people don't freak out and start saying that we gave them misinformation.
Sure.
The difference is if you have one gear pulling oil from both cavities and one of the cavities is not full enough to fill the entire orifice, then it's going to be pulling air into the gear. Volume.
Right, cavitation.
So the advantage of the S&S having the split gerotors is there's a dedicated gerotor gear in each compartment.
Guaranteed
So
pressure at all times.
even if the cam compartment entire hole, the rotating assembly area is still going to be getting all the oil scavenged out.
Good point.
And now you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Somewhere in this video, Aaron needs to push his brand of pomade because it is fantastic, and his hair is amazing.
I'd use not sponsored yet, but
Always.
looking for sponsorship.
Wow.
It's never not like that. Regardless of the weather, whether he wears a helmet, it doesn't make a difference.
I want to thank Scott over at the Blockhouse in Franklin. It's the barber, man. Legit barber shop.
Gotcha.
Get the hard part and a beer in the same sit down.
I want to thank Shania Twain for giving me the courage to be here today.
Yeah.
Without her, country music would still be good. Hello. My name is Will. The footage you've just seen is real. It happened on a day. Like today. If you or anyone you know has any information concerning what you just witnessed, or if, like my friend Ricky Bobby, you want to go fast, call the number on your screen. Call today. Call for yourself. Call